lived in Switzerland in an equally remote village. But Baldwin was there, and not that far before. Just a decade before. And so I start with this. In some ways, this book is a long reflection on his 10-page essay. So he writes, "The time has come to realize that the interracial drama acted out on the American continent has not only created a new black man, it has created a new white man too." James Baldwin, Stranger in the Village. Barging in on the only other black student in my dorm, I was ready to vent. "Man, that good-for-nothing SOB Mike, you see what? That was bad, man," Tim blurted out before I could finish the sentence. "No shit, that was bad. That was really, really bad, man," he repeated, drowning me out. Then I got it. The brother wants me to evaporate. Having just seen me tried and crucified by the biggest, baddest black man on campus, Tim was as scared as I was angry. Martin Luther King Jr. had been shot. The prevailing mood among my fellow black students was boiling with radicalism. Whites were the enemy. Full of misgiving, I had slipped into the meeting of the Black Student Union. I had gone because I yearned to belong, to be one of them, especially following King's assassination. This was no time to retreat. It was a time for change, for organization, for solidarity, and everybody was supposed to show. That meant me. And yet my sense of foreboding was so strong that I spent all afternoon convincing myself to go. I couldn't help but feel I didn't really belong. How could I? My father was a research chemist at the University of Chicago. My mother was director of social work at its Bob Roberts Children's Hospital. I'd been raised in a white liberal Unitarian Sunday school and later educated in a progressive Swiss boarding school. I had more white friends than black, and everybody knew it. Now at least I'm ready to admit the truth. I was afraid. Stay away and they'd label me Tom. So I went only to be collared and branded. With the dreamer dead, passions inflamed, and ghettos ablaze, with the anti-war message of hair rocking Broadway, and Black Panther leader Huey P. Newton in jail, and 100,000 war protesters marching on the Pentagon, the nation was in turmoil. I was unprepared for this transition. No more interracial solidarity, civil rights forsaken for black power, desegregation supplanted by separatism, nonviolence under attack by those arming for self-defense, naive notions about love and peace swept aside by brutal realities. The days of singing black and white together, we shall not be moved, were over. The bullet that killed King wounded us all. The ricochet tore through my family, fracturing our lives, our relationships, and our faith in integration. Yet my whole life had been an exercise in integration, and as despair-filled fury enveloped the black community, I didn't know how to respond. Cultural amalgamation, the melding of cultures and races through conquest and slave-free migration and miscegenation is older than Moses' marriage to a Cushite bride. It's in our blood. During the 50s and 60s, the process emerged as an unusually self-conscious effort to transform society. This era of racial integration, from the time Jackie Robinson joined the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947 until King's assassination 1 years later, bracketed the formative years of my life. This story describes that life, a life often spent as one among a handful of Afro-Americans in otherwise white communities, sometimes the only one. The day I was born in a Chicago hospital, my father, because of his race, wasn't allowed into the father's waiting room. We were living on the cusp of change, and my father's experience belonged to an era that was ending. Growing up in the 50s, integration was all I knew. Kids, white and black, and the odd Asian, playing together in nursery school, church, kindergarten, and children's choir. It would continue in Switzerland, where my family spent a sabbatical year, and I stayed for 2 more. From a rustic international boarding school located in a remote mountainside village, I watched the civil rights movement, the 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham, Malcolm X's assassination, and James Reeb's murder in Selma. As the cultural storm mounted, I reluctantly returned home and tried and failed to straddle the divide between black and white. Battered, I set out upon a torturous search for redemption that eventually led back to the Alps, but did not end there. The urge to stay was strong, but the call to the Unitarian Universalist ministry was stronger. Returning to America, I entered seminary. There I married another student, an Anglo-Canadian, and with her raised 2 multiracial children of dual nationality. For 26 years, we served as co-ministers in a religious movement that was, and remains, overwhelmingly Anglo-American. In all this, without realizing it, I was being true to my lineage. 400 years of interracial relations and miscegenation. Caught in a twilight zone between the races, my family was part of the interracial drama of which James Baldwin wrote. As slaves and slaveholders, as Union and Confederate soldiers, as a scientist facing government-sanctioned discrimination or working on the atom bomb, as GI serving in a segregated U.S. Army defending freedom from Nazi tyranny, as lawyers and laborers, as lovers and rapists. My ancestors played their bit parts. I, like them, was just another extra. But the reality of our lives have led me to this truth. Integration is inevitable. There is no other way, never was.